To be content with what we at present know is, for the most part, to shut our ears against conviction, since from the very gradual character of our education we must continually forget and emancipate ourselves from knowledge previously acquired. This excerpt from Homer's Illiad serves as our invocation as we continue our exploration of the value and relevance of various components of a liberal arts education. In this instance, math, the language of the universe, and philosophy, the search for our place in it. Mario Cortez begins our exploration not in the cosmos, but on campus.
Founded in 1881, Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin is one of the most highly recognized and accomplished Jesuit universities in the country. As we continue our conversation about the importance of liberal arts in future programs, we want to reference again the history and values founded in Jesuit higher education. In this presentation, we will aim to provide evidence that supports why the study of mathematics and philosophy supports everything we have learned up to this point, especially from the discussion with Father Class and Dr. McAvoy about how this form of learning assists with further developing our critical thinking skills as students.
Well, let me hold off for 1 second before I finish it off.
Before we dig deeper, what does Marquette University think about what their students can do with a major in mathematics and philosophy? If you visit the university's website, you will find some very interesting thoughts on each. What is the importance of studying math? Beyond the familiar and precise terms and formulas of algebra, geometry, and calculus lies the realm of pure mathematics, a creative environment where you can delve into the infinite and discover concepts yet to be considered. Mathematics is the foundation upon which other sciences are built. Technologies come and go, but mathematics is eternal. Some of the formulas and logic that run computers today, for example, have been around for thousands of years.
Is there life after death? Is there a possibility that I might still exist or survive after?
And how about the importance of studying philosophy? Philosophy deepens our understanding of life and enhances our senses of wonder at things we may take for granted. It also helps us ask foundational questions about reality and the nature and purpose of human life. The critical thinking skills students develop when studying philosophy are highly sought after by corporations and government agencies alike. According to the New York Times, philosophy is one fundamental area of study that has found a new role in the high-tech world today. In an information-based economy, people who can think conceptually are becoming more and more valuable.
Let's graph the function.
At the intersection of math and philosophy equals abstract thinking. Here is a good video that shows how Oxford University in the UK constructs their belief that the parallel study of math and philosophy disciplines can significantly enhance the understanding of each.
Yeah, probably about 10 hours. Tutorials maybe about 3. And
the two subjects are actually they're closely allied. There have been lots of great philosophers who were also great mathematicians, a couple of names that spring to mind, Pascal and Descartes. Lots of other philosophers have been interested in mathematics and have written a lot about maths. Plato, Wittgenstein, Kant, for instance, all wrote a lot about the philosophy of mathematics. In the first year of the course, there's logic paper, which all maths and philosophy students do, which is at the intersection of maths and philosophy. There's an introduction to the philosophy of mathematics, which connects the two subjects. And then in the third year, there's more philosophy of mathematics and there's logic as well.
Math is unquestionably the language of the universe, a way of understanding and explaining everything from black holes and gravity waves to poetry and classical music, and it can be every bit as evocative and elegant, a celebration of human imagination and creativity in numbers rather than notes. And while looking outward certainly provides a powerful incentive for studying math, so does looking inward. Suzanne Green explains.
So that's the complication. So now we're going to do a little bit of calculus made hard.
So why should we study math? Many students have wondered about the usefulness of the mathematics they're studying once they are in the real world. Although many people cannot see the value in learning an abstract science and may resent that they are required to study it, math has many benefits, including developing our critical thinking and reasoning skills, as well as making us more capable and competent adults.
Math sucks. Math sucks.
people simply dislike math, and math has a poor social stigma as a result. But to others, the problem is more serious and can alter the course of your life or career. However, we should not allow dislike or fear of mathematics to prevent us from learning more about it. It is estimated that nearly a quarter of the population suffers from math anxiety. Researchers at Stanford University have discovered that some students' brains react to math problems in the same way that a human brain would respond to snakes and spiders. Activity in the brain's fear centers increases when doing math problems. The working memory is compromised, and therefore this reduces the individual's ability to solve problems. Our beliefs about math shape how we engage with it, and are a key determinant in whether or not we will suffer with anxiety. Whatever the reasoning behind avoiding the subject, by doing this we do ourselves a serious disservice. Much like all of the other liberal arts, including literature, philosophy, and theology, mathematics is just another way to explore and express our surroundings and experiences. As Brian Trocca mentioned in his interview, math is a language, but what makes math so special is that it is a universal language. Galileo once said, "The laws of nature are written in the language of mathematics. The symbols are triangles, circles, and other geometrical figures, without whose help it is impossible to comprehend a single word." This understanding can be applied in any endeavor we choose, and it can be honed and used for our own personal benefit or to improve the lives of others. People use math every day, often without being aware of it. While it is true that we have technology to help us in this regard, using our brains and sharpening our thinking is also important. Even more important is that not having a strong mathematical foundation limits your ability to understand important concepts and limits your potential in life. Science, technology, business, and innovation all begin with mathematical literacy, and all of these roads are closed to those who do not take the time to develop their skills. Liberal arts math instruction prepares students for a competitive workplace and to lead full lives, prepared for all possibilities. To summarize why math is so crucial for intellectual development, I would like to share with you a short interview with astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Innovations and creativity in science, engineering, technology, and math will be the drivers of tomorrow's economy.
Jobs, 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 jobs.
Jobs. That's the word, in 4 letters, jobs. And if you are not a participant on that frontier, you will trail behind it and possibly get left behind entirely.
Most American kids opt out of the harder math and science classes, as you know.
So I think most people opt out of hard things.
Many of those jobs that pay $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, you need a lot of calculus.
You do.
You need math.
You do.
You need science.
And
you need physics.
Math needs better marketing. I don't know how to do it. Hire a marketing firm or something. There are people who say, I'll never need this math, these trig identities from 10th grade or 11th grade, or maybe you never learned them. Here's the catch. Whether or not you ever again use the math that you learned in school, the act of having learned the math established a wiring in your brain that didn't exist before. And it's the wiring in your brain that makes you the problem solver.
In addition to being the language of the cosmos, the study of math is also a search for meaning, and it shares this defining characteristic with another field of study, that of philosophy. Here's our group leader now, Nicole Morrow, with more on the value of studying philosophy and the various points at which these two seemingly discordant disciplines intersect.
I cannot make Crito believe I'm the same Socrates who's been conversing with you.
Thanks to great thinkers Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates, we have a foundation of the method of exploring any discipline. Philosophy has given us specific gifts like logic, epistemology, and rhetoric.
And if I tell you that daily conversation about virtue and the other things I talk about is a great benefit to mankind, you'd be still less likely to believe me.
All of which are central to the building blocks of understanding our world and our place within it. Koterski has been stated in his article saying, when considered with regards as its distinctive content, the field of philosophy may be legitimately divided into three domains: reflection on thinking and knowing, on being and its kinds, and on making and doing, each with a specific use and application to other fields. Metaphysics and existentialism are among the being branch of philosophy and can be used in the study of nature and of God. St. Ignatius found it so important to study Latin and philosophy in his mission to save the lost of the world. He wanted to be taken seriously and avoid criticism of the Spanish Inquisition for being considered a heretic due to being an unskilled purveyor of doctrine. We see again through his example that he desired to put a method to his pursuit of God and God's mission and ministry, and attending schools like the University of Paris gave him the requisite training to be accepted in every arena, and gave the Jesuit schools that he founded a credibility it would not otherwise have had without the methods taught through studying the classic philosophers, St. Aquinas and others.
And if I declare that the unexamined life is not worth living.
Thanks to such philosophers as Socrates, from our initial group assignment, we can use our natural curiosities to spur us into the unknown regarding any field of study. We arrive at knowledge through the methodical comparison of questions to observations, providing theories, testing these theories, creating a hypothesis, and if the hypothesis is disproven, we start the cycle again.
Well, I want to begin by thanking the people of South Carolina.
For applied fields like politics or business, we use ethics to determine not the extent of our knowledge, but how to use it to produce the greatest outcome or the good given a particular situation, and exploring what is right or wrong. For example, we know technological and biological advancements have occurred in the last several decades, but is it right for us to use this knowledge to engineer the type of humans that will exist?
Imagine I am about to flee.
Among the great contributions to literature is Aristotle's Poetics, proposing that art imitates nature. And in that regard, we are able to observe and relate to human behavior through our exposure to great literature. Aristotle and other sophists in his day believed in teaching rhetoric, which also gives us a method of appealing to people by using pathos, ethos, logos, meaning credibility of the speaker, emotion or values, and logic and assumptions, respectively, allowing our methods of communicating to be as effective and persuasive as possible. This skill is also translatable in all fields, from the arts to business, religious backgrounds to the secular arena.
The main virtue that I look for in candidates at the interview is open-mindedness.
Is it any wonder that some of the most prestigious institutions of higher education, like Yale and Oxford, have majors that combine mathematics and philosophy? Indeed, there is an intrinsic connection between the two disciplines. Mathematics was actually birthed from philosophy, namely the philosophy of logic. Mathematics and philosophy are both considered languages, as there are symbols and expressions that have meaning only to those who know how to interpret them. In addition, we have learned that there are many patterns within philosophy and mathematics discovered through reflection on experience, as Suzanne mentioned in her talk about mathematics. Both require practice in order to receive the full benefit of the discipline. Like philosophy, Math can be and is used in every facet of life. There are countless examples of the usefulness and the impact of math and philosophy because both are everywhere and involve everything. One only needs to take a step back and observe the patterns to see their existence.
Now to our muddiest point, which is really more of a muddy question. If the language of math is a language of absolute truth, and God is truth, then could math be yet another way, or perhaps the only way, of truly knowing God? One of the most compelling arguments in favor of this idea is presented by Stancil, when James Bradley points out that the early Christians essentially co-opted necessary and eternal truths which Plato had attributed to math and placed them in the mind of God. This strongly suggests that to know math is to know God's mind. In one of his most important works, A Critique of Pure Reason, the German philosopher Immanuel Kant argued that knowing God is impossible, that our knowledge is limited to what we can discover through math and science. But what if Kant had been able to peer through the Hubble Space Telescope and actually glimpse the remnants of the Big Bang with his own eyes? Might he have reconsidered those limits on mathematical knowledge? Could he have foreseen the possibility of math one day bringing a supernatural God into our natural universe?
Countless worlds, numberless moments.
In his book Pale Blue Dot, the late astronomer Carl Sagan does consider that possibility when he suggests that a religion old or new that stressed the magnificence of the universe as revealed by modern science might be able to draw forth reserves of reverence and awe hardly tapped by the conventional faiths. Of course, the search for truth also happens to be a core Jesuit value, and so perhaps it's no coincidence that the first pope to openly acknowledge the validity and compatibility of the Big Bang and evolution is himself a Jesuit. Francis's declaration in 2014 lends the union or reunion of math, philosophy, and faith an air of inevitability. But as we learned from Homer at the beginning of this presentation, education is gradual in character. We learn when we're ready. And by way of benediction now, the poet offers this on the path that lies before us. We must set aside old notions and embrace fresh ones. And as we learn, we must be daily unlearning something which it has cost us no small labor and anxiety to acquire.